Hello everybody and welcome to today's video looking at the Supermarine Spitfire FR.IX from Kovozávody Prostějov. I know that I feature this brand a fair bit, and I know that most of the time I get comments on the video going, why are you buying this stuff when you don't even like it? And usually it's a model of some relatively obscure subject, so you're not likely to get it elsewhere, and I would rather fight with a mediocre kit than not have a model of it at all. An argument which of course completely goes out the window, because this is a Spitfire FR.IX. Well, I saw this one in Hannon's, thought I don't actually have a photo reconnaissance pink Spitfire, let's just see what it's like. And it's a Spitfire, they can't have made it too bad, right? There is already a dedicated unboxing video that I've published for this, so if you want to see what you're faced with when you open the box, check that one out first. For this one we're going to be focusing on the construction of it, so without any further spoilers, let's have a look and see how I made this KP Spitfire Mark IX. According to Scalemates, this originally was a 2012 tooling. Note that there is an older CopPro stroke KP Spitfire Mark IX out there. This is not that. This is a genuine new tooling. There are 65 parts, although that is based on me counting them, and this particular release has 3 decal schemes. However, there are loads of releases over the years of KP Spitfire Mark IXs and 8s and things, so there's loads out there, just loads, everything you'd want Spitfire form they've done. Recommended retail price is a little tricky because it kind of depends on the country. It's about £15 to £20 here in the UK. Construction of course begins with the cockpit, and this main floor piece here didn't actually feature in the unboxing because it was completely separate inside the box. So I opened it up, it obviously fell on the floor or corner of the desk or something, and I just didn't notice it, so the unboxing doesn't even mention that main cockpit piece. Don't worry, it was there. This kit will feel very familiar to anyone who has made a Spitfire before. You essentially have the main floor piece with a bulkhead here, which is what the pilot will rest on. It is a little bit annoying that these seats will be stuck onto separate plastic pieces. They didn't mould it as one. You've got, as you saw earlier, those little side pieces that the seat will end up going on. This entire kit is of course completely devoid of any locating pins, because that is fairly standard for KP. They every now and again put one in a kit, but most of the time they don't. So you do have to just take a little bit of extra care to make sure that everything is lined up and is not going to be a problem later. Attacker Blue Line Interior Grey-Green is my interior colour of choice. I use this for pretty much everything RAF, and being Blue Line, it's formulated for brush painting. You can of course thin it down and airbrush it if you would rather, but for something this size I don't really think that that's worth it, so I didn't. This was of course brushed on the entire internal bits forward of the pilot, so anything behind the pilot will be picked out in silver later on, anything in front of the pilot will be picked out in green, and there are various controls and things that I picked out in black. I do actually have a couple of, well, multiple books about the Spitfire, and that includes an extremely good detailed breakdown of what the cockpits look like, but in 1/72 I couldn't be bothered, so I just painted some bits black so that if you do see something it's not all one colour. That's it. And this is more or less the end result. You can see that I have indeed brushed silver behind, and I've dry brushed this instrument panel as well, just to bring out that raised detail. There is no decal for that piece included in this release. Overall, I think the internal detail is absolutely fine. It is pretty average for a relatively modern tooled Spitfire, so no problems there. I do, however, have problems with the exhaust, and KP keep doing this, and it always bloody annoys me. The exhausts don't lock in place anywhere. You can just shove them through. They just fall in. So if you try and put them in after the fuselage halves are together, you risk knocking them back inside and they're lost forever. Or you try this horrible balancing act that I was trying there. It's not ideal. I wish they would just design exhausts better. It's constant with KP. Moving on to the wings, and we just have those internal bits glued in which will mount the undercarriage at a later date. The wings are moulded to represent a clipped wing example. So on the top surface of the wing you have the clipped edge which will need to be cut off. This cuts it off for both top and bottom. This does mean that when you come to stick the new tips on, you end up having a very basic joint. There's no locating pins, no plug, nothing to help it stick there, and you will have to be careful because it's easy to break them. The reflector gun sight is moulded as a solid piece, not clear plastic. That does mean, of course, you will not have a clear screen in front of the pilot's eyeballs. You can just paint it silver and hope that it's not too visible. You'll be pleased to know it's not too visible. It's also an absolute pain to glue it in. It just doesn't sit properly. It's annoying. I probably should use some super glue. That'll keep it there. And the oxygen bottles that you saw me gluing in there, which will go behind the pilot on the port hand side of the fuselage. I could pretty much build Spitfires without looking at instructions because I've built enough of them and they're all quite familiar. Alternative rudders and tail surfaces are provided, although the instructions don't tell you which one to use. It's just either this or this. Work it out. Thankfully, there is enough resource material online and in book form for Spitfires for me to see which one it needed to be. The difference is essentially where the elevators end on the tip side, whether they have a right angle or not. These ones don't. Oh, sorry, these ones do have the right angle. They don't have the 45-degree angle. I just found a picture online of this particular aircraft and went, yeah, that will do. The canopy is masked and it's a tiny bit too big, so there needed to be a little bit of sanding. Once that was done, however, it could be glued in at this stage, and yes, that does mean I am masking the canopy and spraying it attached. I know regular viewers will be shocked by that, but every now and again, it's what I do. What won't shock anyone is that I'm using standard contactor poly cement to glue it in, because I like to live dangerously. The wing pieces can now actually be assembled. Earlier I just trimmed the tips off, I didn't actually glue them. With the lack of locating pins, my best method for this is to make sure that the fuselage is ready, and then when everything is still a bit wet, you can move the top of the wing surface around just to make it fit. If you're doing the clipped wing version of a Spitfire with this kit, then that won't be a problem because the tip is moulded on the top surface of the wing, so you can line the bottom surface up with that. Obviously I've chopped the tip off, therefore on this one you just have to work it out for yourself. The radiators under the wings, pretty standard for Spitfires, 3 parts, and then we have blisters for the guns because this is a fighter reconnaissance version. Again, with the instructions, it doesn't make it overly clear where they go, just sort of glue on top of the bits. Yeah, I get it. Thankfully, again, Spitfire, plenty of online material, and just eyeball it to line it up because, well, you're not going to get any locating pins. They don't believe in that sort of thing. The final assembly of bits before painting then, again, no surprises, no locating pins. It doesn't really help you stick them onto the plane. You just have to work it out and base it on panel line. So it's always best, in my opinion, to do this when it's slightly wet still. I am gluing the radio mast on and I will break that off. And I've glued the cannon barrels. Right, moving on to painting, because that's the only reason why I bought the Spitfire anyway. Vallejo white primer is being used over the entire surface of the aircraft. This is already airbrush ready, so nice and simple to use, but I do find that it needs at least a couple of coats to really get a full coverage over the aircraft. Because it's quick drying, it's not really a problem. On most aircraft, including a Spitfire, you can start at the tail end, and by the time you've done the front end, you can just go back and start round 2 on the tail end. The actual Pru pink is being provided by Vallejo 71.408 PRU pink. This colour was chosen because it was convenient for me to buy it. That is the genuine answer. Opinions are incredibly divided over what is the correct shade, and you can't see that I'm doing inverted commas, but the correct shade of photo reconnaissance pink, because it was essentially a field experiment that then stuck. So whether this is the right shade or not, I don't know, but it doesn't look too vibrant, and therefore to me it looks alright. However, that pink camo is somewhat ruined by having invasion stripes on this example. To make my life easier, I have used one width of tape to represent one stripe. So I marked it all out just using tape, white, black, white, black, white, and then masked around the mask to then get out this insignia white to then spray the bit left behind. This does only have fuselage stripes on the lower side, no wing stripes or anything. By doing it this way, things are about 0.5 millimeter too wide, but it makes it much easier at this stage when you've masked over the white and paint the black, because you're just spraying the width of the tape. If you can accept being a couple of millimeters out, this is the easiest way of doing invasion stripes. Fact. I've now got the AK Real Colour pen out to do some propeller blade tips. I've been using this now on a fair few models. It makes propeller blade tips considerably easier. I'd obviously just painted it black at some point and then just drew the tips on. Nice. 4-bladed prop, yellow on both sides. All good. Coverage is much better than it would otherwise be with paint, and gloss varnish can then be sprayed over the entire thing before the decals go on. KP have been very helpful to include a separate stencil sheet and a separate bit on the bottom of the instructions to show you where to place them. However, they've not been very helpful, as the moment they touched the water, they just disintegrated. I don't think I've ever seen decals quite as bad. So there are no stencils on this one, which, fair enough, saved me some time. The other sheet, however, which had all of the insignia and markings and whatever, absolutely fine. Put them in the same water, soak for 15 or 20 seconds, take it out, absolutely fine. I don't know why they provide one sheet of disintegrating decals and one sheet of perfectly reasonable decals, but hey-ho, that's just the KP way, I suppose. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed that there is no camera window on the port side of the fuselage, as there should be. Don't worry, KP have thought of that. No, you don't drill a hole out and replace it with some glazing or something. Nope, it's this decal. This is the decal that represents the window, apparently. In 1/144th or something smaller, I would understand why you wouldn't want to put a little clear bit in here. In 1/72nd, this feels phenomenally lazy. But I guess on the plus side, at least it didn't disintegrate like the stencils did. You know, the positives. The shock absorbers arrived broken on the sprue. This is in common with every KP Spitfire I've made. This is not the first. The way that they are moulded is incredibly fine, but they're supported at both ends and there's just no flex at all. The moment the sprue moves, that's it, they're gone. So I had to glue them on the legs at this stage. Very, very fiddly. They're only a couple of millimetres long, just trying to glue the top and the bottom bit and then nudge them in, paint them later. We have the propeller assembly, which was painted on the sprue, and you've already seen me painting the tips of the propeller blades. This is not spinnable, if that's even the word that I want, as in you just glue it into the front of the aircraft. There's no plug, no facility to make this moving. It's not really something that I care about, but you might, so if that is a turn off and the lack of camera window isn't, then fair enough, I would understand. And then final assembly can take place by assembling the various undercarriage components, which again have all been painted separately. So the wheel on the leg on the undercarriage door, slap that into the underneath of the plane, and jobs are good 'un. This Spitfire was actually bought and built for an intended buddy build with fellow content creator Ms Modeler, and has since extended into including model minutes as well. So before we take a look at my end result, I'd like to briefly hand over to Ms Modeler and Model Minutes to have a look at the kits they've chosen and the results that they've achieved. I'd like to thank both of them for their contributions to this video, and let's hand over now to see what they did.
The pink Spitfire has been a project that myself and VFC have talked about for so long. And when we finally came to do it, or more accurately, I must say, when I finally came around to do it, Model Minutes also joined in all that fun. And so now all three of us are making lovely pink Spitfires. My one is the IBG Spitfire, and I actually did a video unboxing the kit talking about how it's a rather expensive Spitfire. But have my thoughts changed from building it? Well, you're going to have to check out my video, won't you? Oh, and make sure you check out the other two videos. Depending on who you're watching right now, that's either Model Minutes or VFC. Let the pink Spitfires reign supreme. Now, back to your scheduled viewing.
Who doesn't love a Spitfire? And especially if they're pink. Hi, I'm Matt from Model Minutes, and I built the Beacon Models Supermarine Spitfire in 144th scale in the rather fun pink scheme. So when I heard that a few content creators were going to be making some pink Spitfires, I had a rummage in my stash and found a suitable topic. I hadn't done a pink Spitfire before, and I really wanted to contribute to this kind of idea. I went and bought specific paint for it, but as a side note, that got completely delayed and the paint didn't turn up for ages. So fortunately, the benefit of a 144th scale kit is that they are so small that you can build them quite quickly. So this is a project that I completed in just a day or two, and given the low part count, it was a reasonably quick and pleasant build. I really enjoyed building this tiny little kit. There weren't that many challenges, as it's a really nice little model, but adding the canopy masks was a bit of a challenge given that they are so small. So if you'd like to learn more about how I completed this project, pop over to my channel for the full build and review. I'd like to thank Ms Modeler and Captain VFC for letting me share my experiences with this particular project and taking part in this collaboration. And with that, I'll see you on the workbench soon.
As KP kits go, this one is not that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad. It is perfectly fine to assemble, and most of the time it makes sense. I don't like a few design decisions that they have made. For example, those undercarriage bays that don't have any ridge to lean up against. You just sort of have to put them in. Well, if you get them slightly wrong, the undercarriage is not going to line up properly. So it took me quite a while to line them up, just because you have to eyeball it. Thankfully, mine was okay, but there must have been a better way of doing it, and the fact that other people can make Spitfires would support that. Yes, there are better ways of doing it. The exhausts, as I mentioned, are an absolute pain in the backside. I hate when they do it like this. It's just stupid. Just mould an extra lip just so that it doesn't fall straight through. If I were to pick this up now, buy the exhausts, there's a high chance that one of them will be gone inside the aircraft forever. That's not good. But the actual detail of the kit is pretty respectable. We have some pretty good panel lines. They're not too deep, not too shallow. We have the occasional bit of rivet detail, and the general shape of the Spitfire to me looks absolutely fine. Is it going to be as good as something as an Edward kit? No, but if you put in that little bit of extra effort, if you are a more skilled modeler and you like something to put up a bit of a fight rather than just a shake and bake out of a box, then this isn't a bad example to go for a Spitfire. And the fact that they do some more obscure decal options is, I think, very much in this kit's favour. As long as you don't get stencils that disintegrate the moment you put them in water. And even the ones that didn't, the roundel, for example, is far too purple for my liking. It's, I'm guessing, printed a white circle, then a red circle, and then blue over the bit that needs to be blue, but the blue isn't opaque enough, resulting in this rather purpley shade. That isn't great. There is also a slight registration issue on them, bearing in mind how few decals this has. It's amazing that there's enough to even have problems, but both of the fuselage roundels do have a tiny bit of white visible. Because it's a pink aircraft, I was able on one side, after I'd noticed I'd done it wrong on the other side, to at least hide it. So on this side, the starboard side, you can't really tell. I can because I know where it is, but you can't really tell. Whereas on the port side it is a lot more visible because it ends up going over the black invasion stripe. All in all then, we are left with a fairly good KP kit by KP standards that still leaves me asking the question of what benefit would you have buying this over another brand's Spitfire? And I can't really answer that, to be honest. If you see it in the shop and it's within your price range, you could buy it or you could not. It's entirely up to you. But this is not one that made me want to throw it across the room or stamp on it or regret life choices. It was just one that made me laugh a few times when it was clearly like that camera lens. When I first saw that, went, oh, that's just dumb. And the wingtips, I was a little bit frustrated trying to line them up properly, but that's all just part of the modelling journey. So it's not a great kit. It's not a bad kit. It's a perfectly fine pink Spitfire. And on that note, a very quick comment about pink Spitfires. I'm actually not that big a fan of photo reconnaissance pink on a Spitfire. It's too sensible. It's sensible pink. It's gentlemanly pink. And I know that my entire channel is branded on bright pink, but this just isn't bright enough. But it felt like an obvious thing to do at some point. So here it is. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much to Ms. Modeler and Model Minutes for joining in this little buddy build of some pink Spitfires. Please go and check out their dedicated videos as well, and maybe let me know which Spitfire you think is best, not necessarily in terms of the quality of building it, but who do you think did the best shade of pink? What shade of pink do you like most? What kit it is the most tempting to you, that sort of thing. And if you have suggestions for future buddy builds, then just drop that in the comments below as well, and you never know, it might happen. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe if you don't already, dislike if you didn't like it, and you can even become a channel member like the people appearing on screen. These people will get cheeky spoilers. I try and do them every week as long as I've been on my desk. On my desk? I mean at my desk. It's not pictures of me on my desk. That's very different, and I don't have a tier set up for that sort of content yet. If you're interested in joining, then please do. If not, that's fine too. Just watching the videos is enough for me. And on that note, hopefully you will watch another one. So until then, goodbye. I'll leave it. That's fine. It's close enough. Close enough.